The yassification of unicorns bothers me, and I'm about to explain to you why. If you don't like what I'm about to tell you, I will literally remove you from my YouTube audio myself. Sit down. Let me tell you some stuff. I promise I have a point. The reason why I say the yassification of unicorns is because it boggles my mind of how people seem to be very confused. All the time. Very confused. Because I've talked to a couple people about this, and they're always the same reasoning for why they're confused. They either pull the, oh, well, in Harry Potter, the unicorns are so rare and so pure and blah, blah, blah. And then the other age-old mythos is only virgins can see unicorns. No. That is definitely not correct. Both of those are wrong. And I'm going to explain to you why. If you've never seen The Last Unicorn, like read the book or the 1980 movie, I promise you're missing out. That movie is so deep. It's so thought compelling. And the reason why is because of one scene in particular. And that scene hits you hard. So I'm going to play the clip of it just that way you're aware of how deep it really is.
Leaving us so early, magician. Where have you been? Where have you been? Where have you been?
Don't you talk to her that way.
I'm here now.
Oh. And where were you 20 years ago? 10 years ago? Where were you when I was new? When I was one of those innocent young maidens you always come to? How dare you? How dare you come to me now, when I am this?
That entire scene is basically Molly Groon, right? That's her name. She's nobody. She's a woman who lives with bandits. Bandits who rob people on the road. For all intents and purposes, a unicorn, this being of pure light and pure magic, shouldn't be able to be seen by a woman like her. And that's why it makes it even more compelling, is because unicorns don't come to virgins and all that other stuff. Unicorns come to people who are pure of heart, which is why the magician, Smendrick, and Molly, the bandit woman, can see her, because they're not the correct people in society that supposedly should be able to see the unicorn, but they can. They see her for exactly what she is, and it's really, really deep. And why I'm saying that The Last Unicorn is a really deep and compelling movie is because it basically, if you read the book is even more wild. When Smendrick in the book is explaining to her about Mommy Fortuna, like just making regular old animals look like creatures of myth, and then explaining to her the myths that go with them, she schools him really hard. She's like, Smendrick, none of that is true. Indicating to you, what do you know about your own mythology? You know nothing. You guys have taken the myth from whatever it was, and then turned it into whatever you needed it to be to make you guys more comfortable. Which is why, even when he explains her own myth to her, the unicorn, she laughs in the book. Like, that is super wrong. 1,000% incorrect. That's not what unicorns are. Which is why it makes it even more compelling, is because she basically is telling him, whatever you thought was correct is not only super wrong, but you guys are acting like yous are super right because of your incorrect ideals. The Last Unicorn is a deconstruction of telling people, due to lack of basically sharing knowledge and actual truth with each other, you guys have taken a lie, a very well-crafted, well-planned out lie, and made it truth, but it's still not true. It's still a lie. It's just a lie that you guys feel incredibly comfortable around. Which is why it's called The Last Unicorn, is because she was off doing her own thing, as unicorns do. The Red Bull, when it came to come get all the other unicorns and all that jazz, missed her. It missed her because she was doing as unicorns are supposed to do. you know, all that hippie shit in the fields. I always took the Red Bull as being the system of injustice that demands that you will either conform to what is now the new normal, or you will be erased from history. So her being the last unicorn, realistically, is messing with King Haggard, right? The quote-unquote evil guy in this. Because it's not fitting his ideal world. He wants her gone because she poses an outright threat to his, well, honestly, warped ideal of how the world is supposed to work, 1, and 2, she threatens to dismantle the lie he has set up that a lot of people for a long time have been really, really invested in. Because that's the trick, right? You can be special and unique all you want, so long as you being special and unique fits into the predestined mold that the higher-ups have deemed you fit for. This is not to say anything, right? This isn't me getting up on my soapbox. This is just me microanalyzing The Last Unicorn because I got to talking with it with friends, and it's been bothering me. So this is just the thoughts on, right? The thoughts on unicorns. And the reason why I was thinking about it is because if in the event, right, a long, long time ago, far, far beyond our most ancient and primitive ancestors, if unicorns were really real, like we legitimately saw this, I'll be skeptical, right? You probably saw a horse with like a deformed growth on its head, and it just happened to look really sickly, so it didn't even really look like a horse or a goat, which is why it's so inconsistent across the board. I'll give you that, right? I'll play devil's advocate and say maybe we were just making shit up. Because that's what we did with mermaids, right? They weren't skinny women on rocks singing. It was just chubby manatees being chubby manatees. That's it. But because of the fog, people were like, fat mermaids, right? It's gotta be. I can't think of anything else that sits like that on a rock. Manatees or seals. There is an explanation for every myth that probably ever came through the world. But that explanation also sometimes feels hollow. Like, do I honestly believe that long ago, far beyond the recesses of my own mortal memory, there used to be dragons? Yes, I honestly sometimes really wish that dragons were a thing. In actuality, is that probably what happened? No. $20, right? Even though it might sound wrong, $20 says it was the last vestige of a dinosaur somebody saw and, like, had a wild time with it. Realistically, that's probably more of what the mythos of dragons are, even though they span the world over. Realistically, there's all kinds of explanations for it. You can deconstruct anything mythologically based if you nitpick at it enough. But what good does you nitpicking the mythos do? It makes you just kind of sad, and honestly, it's kind of boring. I think that's what The Last Unicorn is trying to tell you. Can you explain away every last little bit of the mythology you've grown up with? Yes, you can do that super easy if you try hard enough. But that's boring, isn't it? It's the reason why even now in the modern age, we still hold on to myths. As an adult, do I believe that there's a not seen fairy that steals my teeth and used to steal my teeth as a kid and would give me money? No. Your parents would sneak into your room, take the baby tooth, and give you, cash for it to keep up the myth of the tooth fairy. Was there maybe something like that human beings were really, really afraid of and were like, just give it your teeth, because Lord knows you can't give it bones? Probably, because teeth are technically bones that come out really easy. There is probably a reason why, but we just made it into a fun little, nope, you gotta be really good or else the tooth fairy, you gotta be asleep, or the tooth fairy won't come to take your tooth. That's the rule. Do I believe that a fat man in a red suit being pulled by 12 fucking reindeer flying through the sky is gonna shimmy and shake down my honestly non-existent chimney and come bring me presents? No. But that's the lie. That is the lie that keeps prevailing forever. Because it is a myth, it is a lie, it is the greatest lie ever told, but it is a lie that harms nobody with its belief. And tangent on this Santa Claus thing real fast. My friend has kids, right? She's got 6 kids. She's been busy. But her oldest finally is at that point where he said, I don't believe in Santa, and I need you guys to tell me if that's really real or not. So they talked it over, and they sat him down away from all the other kids, right? And they were like, are you really sure that you don't believe in Santa anymore? And he told them, right, this is all secondhand information, so follow me anyway. Told them, yes. And they were like, okay, here's the truth about Santa. You are right. There is no Santa Claus, but here's the great secret that comes with it. Now that you know the truth, you can never tell anybody that until they're also ready to learn the truth about Santa. You have to keep this going because it brings a lot of joy to people who are younger than you. So you need to keep up this story. And he had the right... I love this kid. He asked them, why would I keep up a lie when I know it's a lie? And they were like, because it's a lie that makes your younger siblings happy. They honestly believe that a man in a red suit can see if they've been naughty or nice and gets them everything that they wanted because it's real to them. Even if it's not real to you anymore, the myth is broken. The lie no longer holds any weight. It can't shackle you anymore. The lie is broken. But it's not a lie that's being told to them because you're trying to be mean. You're telling it to them because it's fun. It's a myth that works. It's a lie that has no outward consequences in the moment. That's what myths are, right? This is what unicorns are when you boil it down to brass tacks. Unicorns are a lie and a myth, that there is an amazing creature that somehow, some way, can see if you've been good your whole life long, even if you've made poor choices in your life, like Molly Groon, the bandit woman who was so mad at her when she saw her. You can still be a good person and still make mistakes. That's realistically what this video is ultimately trying to do. And I realize when I said yassification, I might have to explain that. Yassification is basically taking whatever source material you originally had, i.e. Bram Stoker's Dracula, and turning it into something more glittery, more easily accessible, more lighthearted to digest, a la Twilight. Vampires went from very prestigious aristocratic serial killers to, hey hooker, you glitter like it's your off day, what are you doing? And I mean that, right? I don't mean that to be, like, dismissive, but it boggles my mind that The Last Unicorn seems to have fallen out of people's, like, earshot, and it bothers me. And the people who do know about it, I love talking to them because they understand more than likely what I'm coming from. The Last Unicorn isn't about her finding her long-lost brethren who are also unicorns. It's a story being told to you about that's her main quest, but the people that she takes with her, that's not their stories. Their story is for Smendrick when she tells him, I can't make you something you're not, because he wants to be a great wizard. She can't make him a great wizard. He has to make himself a great wizard because he already has all the building blocks to do so. She can't cheat for him is what she's telling him. I can't turn you into something you're not. She's not telling him, I can't turn you into something great because you'll never be great. She's telling him, I can't turn you into something that you're already going to become. That's not how magic works. It's why when she shows herself to Molly Groon and that heartbreaking scene happens, it's important because it's telling Molly, yeah, you've done a lot of questionable things to keep yourself alive all these years. But that doesn't mean that you're a bad person because you made those choices. You're still good at heart, and that has to mean something. I think the reason why I brought this up is because you can write horrible, evil characters into your books. I implore you to do so because those are fun characters to write. But when you want to write characters like Molly Groon, there has to be a reason behind why all their poor choices were made. Because in the end, if they're still a good person way, way, way deep down inside of their heart, then there has to be a way to show that. The way to show it in The Last Unicorn was literally this scion of light looked at her and she saw the unicorn, something that people just can't see because they just refuse to believe. And Molly sees her. And it's a really powerful scene, and I really wish more people would have watched and seen this movie because it is so incredibly powerful. It has a bunch of scenes that are incredibly deep and meaningful. And I really hope that if you take anything from this, go read or watch The Last Unicorn. It is an amazing story. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for showing up. I hope you have an amazing rest of your weekend. Bye!